Now I know a lot of you guys are about to be super excited to farm the lottery and then you're getting ready to farm raids right after, but do not forget that there is a very strong free-to-play support servant that you're able to get during this event, and that is Caster Martha. While yes, it probably is true that if you do have, say, your Castorias, your Merlins, these like S-tier supports, you probably won't get that much value out of her as compared to like, say, a newer player. But even then, for stuff like, say, the different tower events and whatnot, or things that are a bit more limited, like, say, the Grail fronts, it is just nice to have these cheaper supports that you just have ready to go. It just makes your life very convenient, so make sure you farm this one. And if you do want to break from, say, your traditional, team setups, Caster Martha over here is actually really strong. Technically, you can just use her in any team comp. She's kind of like Ruler Da Vinci, where even though she does have a quick NP, you realistically could just use her with whoever you want. In fact, if you wanted to use her in, say, like Buster team comps, when we get the quick chain buff, you could have her be the lead to kind of buff your crit rate, because that's what happens when they buff the quick chains and everything. You could bring that for, say, your Buster comps to maybe help out some of your crits and whatnot. Just an idea, right? Just some benefits that you could do with her, but she just gives you a lot of very strong buffs that we're going to go ahead and go over in today's video. But before we begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe for that daily FGO content, and make sure you peep that Twitch link down in the description down below, because I do stream at least every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'm trying to do every Tuesday and Thursday as well, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, enough minutia, let's start diving into her kit, starting off with her hits, of which she has the hits that I like to see a support have, especially because you might be using her with, say, quick servants, because she does have that quick NP for easier quick chains. She can quick chain on her own to drop a decent bit of stars. 10.8% star gen's not the craziest, but with 4 hits, it's pretty decent. It's certainly no jack, but it's fine, especially because she has a Riding EX passive that buffs her quick performance by 12%. She also has the capacity to drop some stars as well, so you can get some decent star gen going, but then also having double arts cards can be very good to maybe give you that extra arts card that you need for doing an arch chain. Very good in, say, those Buster team comps that we were talking about, to just give you extra arts cards to refund more NP. But unfortunately, she's a terrible servant because they only gave her the 4-hit extra attack. Unfortunate, because the 5-hit extra attack is the gold standard, as it is a card that gen stars NP and does big boy damage, but I'll let it slide on this one because, look, they gave us a really cute version of Martha. I'll let it slide just this one time. But as most support units go, her power is going to be concentrated in her skills, and especially her NP, of which she just has a really good spread of strong effects, if you know what I'm saying. Like, she just does a little bit of everything. Nothing too insane, but just a lot of very good things. Again, very similar to, say, the Ruler Da Vinci, where you can just kind of toss her into teams if you want to try something different. So starting off with her first skill, this is going to be a targetable 30% attack buff that buffs their attack for 3 turns. It's going to increase their max HP by 2k for 3 turns, and then give them a 20% battery on a 6-turn cooldown. All 3 of these are very strong. I do like that they made this a targetable 30% attack to just give you that extra little bit of damage, as opposed to doing, say, a charisma, because that's only 20% for the whole party. And realistically, your other supports don't need the attack buff, right? Unless you're gonna meme around and be like, DPS Castoria, let's go. Like, unless you're doing that, you'd rather your main guy just actually have more attack. So that's good. The max HP functions as a little bit of a better heal, as increasing your max HP is a bit better than just getting a raw heal. It's why a lot of people are like, dude, Lady Avalon is just kind of power creep Merlin. I mean, it's not just for that, but it's pretty much everything that she does is a little bit more of like a power creep Merlin. But that's one of the things that is just so crazy strong that she's able to do. And you have that on a skill, so that's very strong. And then the 20% battery, sure. Could it be an even more massive battery? Could it have been a 30%? Could it have been a 50%? Could it have been a targetable 100%? Obviously, they could have done that, but I think 20% for a free-to-play option is definitely fine. I mean, you have other options, like you say, MASH is kind of like a defensive support. She gives you 20%. Shen Gong only gives you 10%, right? So, like, it's not bad. It's kind of in line with some of the other free-to-play supports, and I just kind of like this first skill. It just gives you a nice set of just good effects. Then you move over to her second skill. Technically, this is more damage and survivability, as it is going to seal all enemies' NPs for 1 turn and then reduce all of their defense by 20% for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. So you're getting a different kind of debuff on the enemy here. The only unfortunate thing is that if you're bringing it to a boss, some of the bosses do have very high debuff resistance or are flat out just immune to debuffs. So that can be a little bit of a mark against Martha. But again, any boss that you can use these on is going to be very strong because you're getting, again, extra damage because you're lowering all of their defense by 20%. Also very good if there's numerous enemies in those boss fights, so you get extra damage on all of them. And again, sealing the enemy's NP is kind of uniquely good because it's like one of the few things that a lot of the top tier supports don't really do. You know, Castoria gives you a lot of hardline survivability in your solemn defense, your invincibility. Merlin gives you healing and invincibility. Lady Avalon gives you invul and max HP. Skadi gives you the one dodge. And Koyanskaya really just tells you, we better go destroy this guy right now, because if they try to clap back on us, we're toast. Like, we're done. They're gonna get obliterated. And so it is nice you can kind of toss her in there, and she does kind of give you an extra bit of survivability. You can kind of buy yourself an extra turn. Unfortunately, it is timed to the defense down, and if you're trying to burst down the boss, you do just want to pop this immediately, so you might waste it, quote unquote, but even then you're still at least getting the damage. And it is nice if it comes back on cooldown or something. So again, very nice skill. I could understand maybe wanting it to have like one more effect, maybe like a little bit of extra crit damage, or maybe it also drops some stars, maybe something along those lines, but that's like a potential buff we could get in the future. Finally, there's her third skill where she just gives somebody just absolutely insane 5,000 star weight for one turn. So basically, that guy is getting all the crit stars. They're going to obliterate whoever they hit. Toss them 10 extra crit stars, which is kind of nice. Sure, it could have been like 20 or something along those lines, but hey, again, it's really easy to do quick change with her. When we get the buff as well for the quick chains, you know, her having a quick NP will also be a bit better, so it's fine. And then she also gives herself a 30% battery, which I do like. I like that technically, you know, she has 50%. It's just split between her and then, you know, one of her allies. And I do like that because her NP has a lot of support to it. It's going to be doing a lot of very powerful things that you want to use. And it's also one of the reasons that I think someone like, say, Castoria is really good, because while she's giving everybody NP, that's not only helping out your main DPS, but it's also helping her get to her NP, which is very, very strong. Same thing for like Merlin. Merlin having the AoE like 20% NP, very strong for him being able to get to his support and even further help out the party. So I do like that a lot. Speaking of that NP, she is increasing the entire party's attack by 20% for 3 turns. So again, there's kind of that charisma thing we were talking about over there, but combined with her first skill, this is a 50% attack buff, which is really insane for someone. That is like an NP5 Castoria. And again, functionally for 3 turns, if you pop this on the same time that you do that first skill, again, it's basically like NP5 Castoria's attack buff functionally. She gives the entire party a 50% power mod, because again, you should NP5 her, right? Like, don't be fooling around, go get her copies. But it's going to give you basically the Martha power mods that, like, say, the Ruler one has, the Summer one. So you're going to be Anti-Demon, Divinity, and Undead, which are 3 pretty good power mods. You're not getting, I believe it's the 100% that the Summer one has, but that's only for 1 turn. This is 50% for 3 turns, so better for a longer fight. And again, if you were wanting her to drop more stars, well, here you go. She bombs another 20 stars and then gives everybody a 2 to 4k heal, depending on her overcharge. Just, again, doing a little bit of everything. Now, yeah, she's not doing, like, the crazy stuff that, you know, your Merlins, your Scotties, your Koyanskayas, your Oberons can do. Like, they can just supremely gas up your damage. But again, she's a free-to-play support, and as a free-to-play support, I would say she does her job rather well. A couple little knocks here is that, sure, maybe she should have something like dropping stars or NP for the party every single turn, or maybe she should give you like a huge crit damage buff. But again, I think you're supposed to be more relying on, say, your other supports for that. You know, even just a Waver with his 50% or their own self-crit damage buff to kind of get that crit damage. So sure, she could have something like that, but I just like this unit. She's just very, very nice to use. It is a little sucky that she doesn't have like hardline survivability, no dodges, no defense, no damage cut, nothing like that. So as you'll see in some of the clips and some of the ones that I was not able to put in the background, because Martha gets clapped up a lot. Like, it's kind of like the original double Merlin setups, which I actually didn't really do. I liked doing the Waver Merlin setup to make my guys a little bit more tanky, because otherwise it's like, well, I hope the enemy doesn't smack me really hard, because otherwise my guy's gonna get obliterated. And sometimes you'll see that your Martha does kind of get pieced up by the bosses, and there's not a lot you can do about it, especially if you're going to be using quick setups and you're not finding Cast or Scotty's NP. But overall, just a very solid, what I would consider a B plus tier servant if we're giving her an actual letter grading. Just solid. Just a very, very strong free-to-play servant. As a free-to-play, I'd probably put her up there in like A+. But again, we're kind of judging her with like all the other units that do exist in the game. But she just does a lot of very good things, you know, lowering defense, giving you 3 very strong power mods, and then functionally giving you a 50% attack buff. That's not nothing. Dropping stars, and again, with the quick chain buff, she'll get a lot better for that. And then also giving, you know, not only max HP, but also healing is just very, very strong effects. I imagine you could try to use her as, say, like a free-to-play version of, say, like Super Orion, but I would like her to have some actual, like, crit damage if you wanted to use her as a soloer, so I didn't really experiment with that very much. It just seems like she's got some of the pieces, but she's just missing that last payoff to really be an effective soloer. So I like using her more as a support. But again, in the future, if they do give her like a targetable crit damage buff, if it's 30 to 50%, I think you could take her down that line, maybe 1 extra heal or something. I think that definitely could be a direction she could go in, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This is one of those units that I was very, very excited to get my hands on over here on the NA version of the game, because again, I just think this Martha's super adorable, very good fit for the event, and it just feels good. The only thing is, really sucks that it's a short lotto and we're not really getting any of the good nodes for very long. So aside from that kind of leaving a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, it's still, you know, a lotto with really good rewards, and the free-to-play is very strong and it's not all that hard to farm. I'm a pretty big fan of it, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace late, guys.